Welcome to Friends and Brands. I am Mark Wilkins.
I'm Nick Bain.
I'm Khalil Roundtree.
Yes, sir.
What's up, Khalil?
What it do?
Man, what's going on, bro? It's a blessing to have you on the show, man.
It's a blessing to be
Y'all
here.
don't understand, man. This dude is in Bangkok. Like you can't find him, man. Like it's hard to catch up with him. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing for him to be here, man. My brother.
Yeah.
Just talk to me, man. What you been up to, bro?
Let's see. All right. So overall, Thailand.
Yeah.
Went there about a year ago, and once I went there, I fell in love with it and found so many different things, from training to like my creative, like outlets again. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we'll get into more conversation, but like in a way, like fighting kind of like held me down, like kind of locked me in. And you got to be focused in fighting. You know what I mean? So like. I'm just all here. I'm like, okay, train, do this, UFC, fight. But creatively, there was only like this much space, and I used all of my like creative energy and just put it into my fighting. So then I start training and doing things differently, and I'm like, okay, this is fun, but still like nothing to really like bring out the fullness of me. So when I was in Thailand, that started coming out.
And what was what was the thing, like when you was over there, what was the thing that hit you and you got it in your gut and you was like, all right, it's this the time where I need to branch out, create, talk about Super Champ. Like what was that like?
So I think Thailand, like what it was for me was just everything in itself. Yeah. Beautiful place, beautiful people, like just peace. Like I felt like this good sense of peace because it's everybody there. They kind of we have it way better here. Like businesses, all these stuff. But these people are like on the street, just like selling noodles, but happy. Yeah, you know what I mean? And just like, hey, what's up? Every day, like there's a lady that was cooking food on her porch, and that's where I ate breakfast every day. She just comes outside, puts on her apron, her stove, everything is outside on the front porch. She built like a little thing out of cardboard and like bamboo, and she just like
that's crazy,
rice
bro.
You know what I mean?
That's
so I'm
amazing.
like, and every day I wake up and I'm happy, and I'm like started looking at my surroundings and comparing, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like I want to be here for a while because I'm learning a lot, like just internally.
Absorbing the culture.
So then, having time to train and see new things and learn new languages and have just my time of peace, ideas started coming up and things like Super Champ started coming to, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just ideas, man. Like,
make sure y'all check that out, Super Champ, bro.
So
that hoodie you posted the other day.
Which one?
With the patches all over. It's like Super Champ.
Yeah.
Crazy. Not for nothing too. I do my homework, man. You got one with the hands on there too.
Yeah.
I need that.
That's okay. So I wish I would have known that. I did bring something for both of you guys.
Oh, bless. I appreciate that.
I was like, I don't know if they're gonna mess with the hands one or whatever.
No, fuck with the hands one, bro. Like,
I
got a Hampson hand on this arm, so I'm all with all that, bro. I'm with all that.
That's cool. That's the whole concept of the brand is fire, bro. Yeah. Like how you even present it, like shooting your content in the infrared. Like I've been seeing, you know what I'm saying? Like that stuff is like you got to really put some thought into it. So like how much of this stuff stems from where you from and like like your childhood, bro. Like, talk to us about that.
Okay. Where you from? So you got to tell us where you from.
All right. So I was born in LA.
Okay.
And so my brothers, I have two older brothers.
Okay.
Little sister too, but I was raised by my two older brothers.
Okay.
Both of them, they grew up in LA until it was time for them to go to like middle school, right?
Yeah.
So they were already teenagers. At that time, we moved to Vegas, and then, then they just kind of took me in. So they kind of carried the LA culture as teenagers with, to Vegas.
Exactly.
So like, they played sports. They had their own thing going on, and I was just like, okay, I'm a young kid in like a nice neighborhood, like kind of like suburban.
Yeah.
And then I just started making friends with the kids in my area, and that got me into like skateboarding and all that type of stuff.
I saw you skateboarding.
But before all of that, actually I was like always kind of like an introverted kid, as like just from a young age, and I was interested in more like NSYNC and like Backstreet Boys and stuff like that, because I was like, man, these dudes are getting girls. You know what I mean? They sing, they dance, like in my opinion. I'm like, wow, that's cool. So I got made fun of a little bit for it, but it
happens,
cool.
man. Ain't nothing wrong with being different, bro.
And then ended up like going through like a metal stage. So I was like super into metal, and I played music, and I played multiple different instruments.
Yeah, you was in
like,
a band, right?
Everything, man. Like just creatively, I used to do so much. Whether it's like drawing or ideas, I'm a dreamer, you know.
Yeah,
so,
I like that.
That's just kind of how it goes, man. And then, like, so a lot of my inspiration just comes from, I guess, like childhood memories.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Or things that made me happy when, you know what I mean?
When
at
you
a
was
certain
a kid,
point,
bro.
or that remind me of something specific. So, yeah, man.
So when you say you was playing instruments, talk to me about this instrument that I saw you.
Oh, the space drum.
Dude, I didn't know what that was, but it was like you was killing it. But I'm like, man, I don't know what the name of this.
That they call that a hand pan or a hang drum. It was made in Switzerland, probably like around 15 years ago. Right. Not even 15, like maybe 12.
Yeah.
But it's a steel pan, almost like the ones you see in like Jamaica.
Exactly.
But inverted into like a circle, like that way. Instead of playing inside, it's
outside like a dome. Yeah.
And the guy who makes it, he has a company called Symphonic Steel, and they use steel, and he bends it, and it's a whole process. They put these little like dents in it, and he tunes it perfectly and all this stuff. And when you tap it, like just like you would tap a table, it vibrates into like
sound.
That's
so
crazy.
I just like
bro, it's wild.
I've made beats before, and I do all that stuff. So it's kind of the same as an MPC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're doing like a drum tap.
Yeah.
But this one is like every time you tap it, it's a different tune on top of like a percussive, like you know what I mean. So I just like I remember just
you just learned how to play that just practicing on it,
just by instinct,
that's
like
crazy.
just already being kind of like musically like inclined. I'm just like, and then I would just sit down and just like be making music all day, and then there's trees and you know what I mean. It was like my sense of peace. It's like, I think all of this is just to find peace. You know, like when I'm alone and. There's enough,
The vibe over there is crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like I see you swimming. I saw you with the elephants, bro. It's like see that type of stuff you don't see every day. You know,
right?
Like we don't get
not in tune with nature like that.
Like it's real. You really in nature over there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got to worry about like, you know, like getting chased by dogs or the monkeys stealing your wallet or like. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are real things.
Yeah, that's right, bro.
Like, these are real things.
No, that is. Right.
You're just walking down the street with a coffee, and you know a big old like Komodo dragon might be like, shh, and you're like, oh,
right.
You know, like there's just different like day-to-day experiences.
The elements is different.
That in my like the best way for me to describe it is it like awakens a different like human instinct.
Yeah.
So like if you hear. You know, you can be walking and you hear like a weird croak. You're like, like whoa, okay. Right. And then you like, you know what I mean? You're like, all right. It just awakens something different in the human spirit.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
And then to walk down the street and see temples like that were literally handcrafted by, you know, the monks, like the Thai monks. And there's Thai monks, like they're walking in the street and every morning they come in and the community, like, they go and gather their food in the morning. So in like 5 a.m. they wake up, they do their meditation, their prayer, they come, like they walk the streets, and then people give them food.
Wow.
The food that they gather, they take back to the temple, they eat it together, they go back into meditation, they go back into reading and doing their chants, and that's their life. Like they're dedicated to just like peace and like, you know what I'm saying? Just like I don't exist, like I have to eat to sustain.
Sustain
like,
it. The material, the material plane, human
like
plane.
The people they support them. Yeah. They give them money, or not money, but like food and new robes and all of this stuff. And it's like to see that stuff, man, and just it's crazy. And this is like really a way of life. It's not a concept.
You
know what I mean?
This
like
is a lifestyle. Like
it's true. So we really have the choice to like choose our lifestyles. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's dope.
That's kind of like what inspires me, and also inspires like Super Champ, and just my whole drive and as a person is to like inspire to do better so that you can see a life outside of America or outside of your community or whatever, you know what I mean? However
it's a bigger
small
scope.
It gets, like just life and the way to experience life is so much bigger than what we know and what we see on a day-to-day basis. You know, so if I can spread that message through clothing, through fighting, through podcasting, through whatever it may be, if I can just at least use my being to share that, then, you know.
Yeah. How did you come up with the name Super Champ?
So, Thailand is like really known for like a Thai massage.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they, you know, all these like
Oh, man.
they twist you up and you feel brand new after. And so there's a spot that I would go to after every training session, and they're really good friends with my coach. He told them that I was a fighter, so they never knew. I'd go in there every day, and then he told them that I was a fighter, so they looked me up. And then the next day, I came in after training. I was all beat up to get my massage, and then the ladies were like, "Super champ, super champ!"
Yeah.
You know, super champ, you fight, you know, like cheering, and I was like, "What the heck?" Like,
Right? How you know that? Right?
And then like till this day, they don't know my name, but every time I'm riding my scooter down the street, if they're outside just like playing cards or whatever, they're super champ, super champ.
That's crazy.
So like
bro.
I go there every single day, man.
Yeah.
And like I threw a pop-up before I left, and they came through, and it was so sick because like I got to throw a pop-up. All my friends were there. It was just
In
we were
Thailand,
chilling by
yeah.
the pool. I had all my merch out, set up, and then like they pulled up, and just that moment, I was like, man, like everything. I get emotional thinking about it. Everything that I'm able to do and like have this creative outlet was because they
Embraced you.
embraced me and gave me this name, and I used it, and now it's like it's becoming something bigger
Yeah.
out of
crazy.
like
Part of your
whatever
identity.
they saw in me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
it's a
it's
part
like,
of your identity now, man.
yeah. So it's like.
And
I'm
how long
just-
did you been? You've been over there for how long?
A year now.
A year now?
Yeah, a
Okay.
year.
Okay.
Yeah, and I plan to go back Sunday,
Yeah.
and
Get
just
right
like
back to it, bro.
like not only for that, but like I'm ready. I'm really ready to get back to training.
Yeah.
Like after my last fight, it was kind of tough. Like I took a loss, but it was like over some dumb stuff. I pulled my leg, like my hamstring, and I had to hide it. You got to hide it.
Yeah.
I don't want to let the guy know I'm hurt.
Because if you do, it's
Exactly.
It's an advantage for him.
And no excuses. You know, it's
Yeah.
not
Still.
excuses.
No,
it's
it's
like
real.
my
It's just you
reality.
keeping
It's
it
my
100
reality.
though.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, in my mind, I was just like, man, I don't got nothing left. Like I just kind of defeated myself and just went,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go out. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm gonna fight however I can.
Yeah.
So I know that I put in a lot of work this last camp and all that stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'm taking fighting out of my mental box, going
Right.
that drawer.
Right.
What's up?
Right.
You know what I
Focus
mean?
on the creativity.
And
But,
now you're ready to get back to it.
Yeah, man. I think I want to, because of this too, like because of Super Champ, because of everything, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to go back. I'm going to train. I'm going to better myself. I'm going to be Super Champ. Like I'm going to,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's
I'm going
just
to
you.
create this person, this brand new person that just stands for something bigger and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does better and yeah, just, you know what I mean?
Dope, bro.
And
No, we talked about your creative side, man, because I think it's pretty cool to see how creative a person is outside of their prospective profession, right? You know, you got musicians walking around, you got producers, you got just athletes in general, but there's always I love hearing multifaceted stories about, you know, the personalities that we have and that we come across because, you know, that's what makes you as a person. So we talked about the creativity, the fighter. Now we got to talk about the fighter. You know, you was born in LA.
yeah.
You live here in Las Vegas. How did you come into fighting? Like, what introduced you to that? Like, what's the backstory on that?
Just to start off, since like you guys already kind of know my upbringing, like
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a kid, my brothers, they both were more into fighting just like on the street than I was. I never got into like a real fight.
Yeah.
But one of my brothers he trained and he got injured. And while I was on tour selling merch, I come back home and I saw he was in this chair that was like fixing his arm, and he's like, yeah, I started training this MMA stuff. I really like it. But I saw like how depressed he was because he couldn't go to
Right.
go to the gym. You know what I
Right.
mean? But he'd be sitting down like watching these videos and watching The Ultimate Fighter, and so I'm just like, okay. So I sat like sitting there with him, just keeping him company. I'm like watching, and I'm like, yo, this is kind of cool. These dudes, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
kind of like how we
Yeah.
were talking about. It's cool. It's something new. And at the time, I was like 300 and something pounds, smoking like
crazy.
2 packs of cigarettes a day. You know, just kind of
Tour
like,
life.
yeah, tour,
Yeah.
exactly, tour life.
Yeah.
Just like sucking down cigarettes and drinking beer and eating fast food, and you know, I
Yeah,
was
destroying your body.
I was
basically.
destroyed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So him and I started together. We just like went to a gym. I wanted to lose weight. He was ready to get back to training, and it started from there. So it was just kind of like, hey, let's just get in shape. And then after my first class, I was like, man, I want to come back.
Man, right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
I feel like I'm leaving a lot out because I've told this a lot of times, but I'll give you guys like, I'll
skinny.
slow it down.
The
Yeah,
skinny.
I'll slow it down. So, going to this class and training was the first time where I was like, I punched something, kicked, you know, all this stuff, and I was working hard, and it felt good.
Yeah.
And I had a coach who, after the class, he was like, hey, have you done this before, blah, blah, blah. You have, like, a natural talent or whatever. Right. He was like, you should come back tomorrow. So that was, like, inspirational for me because I never, you know what I mean? I didn't play sports because I never felt like it was my thing.
Yeah,
but for the first time, I was like, this guy's asking me to come back. He sees potential. Cool. And then I just, like, I kept showing up. And this was for Muay Thai. So, like, Thai kickboxing.
Oh, yeah.
But I never knew anything about like the real stuff until I went there. And then as I started to go and train, I started to feel better about myself and like even think differently and eat differently. And I wanted to fight. Like I went and saw some heavyweights throw down, and then my coach told me like, if you want to fight, you got to lose 100 pounds because you can't fight at this weight class.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, and I just went after it and started training, and I cut my phone off, everything, and just like running around the streets of Las Vegas, just trying to create a new life. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, hey, there's hope somewhere else, or like there's something different that's like charging me up right now. So like, let me just go after this and at least go fight, you know, for the first time.
That's crazy.
And then after that, won, and then I was like, it can't be that easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was like a first round knock. I was so nervous too. Like I didn't even want to do it. But my brother's like, you got to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to do it. And we're in the locker room, we're like almost in tears. And I just remember him like it was such a real moment. Like
how old were you at the time?
20,
yeah,
21,
yeah,
21,
kid.
21.
Yeah.
And we were at the Orleans Casino in the ballroom. This organization called Tough Enough. So it was like a ballroom packed with people. They had music, cage, you know what I mean? I'm like, I've never been the center of attention in my entire life.
Yeah.
Right.
I played in a band, so I can like kind of hide in the corner. You know what I mean? It's not. So I'm like center stage. You know,
spotlight on you.
There's people in the crowd. There's like guys with their wives. There's girls. There's ring girls. There's everything.
Right.
Dang.
And I have to go be the center of the center of the stage, and I gotta fight. Like you know what I'm
perform.
saying? Like I gotta perform. I gotta fight, and it's like. This is a whole different experience for me. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like that first fight is where like I saw like this sense of like manhood. You know what I mean? That's where it was like first tested. Yeah. Because I was like, damn, everybody's here. All right. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't like he didn't disrespect me. You know what I mean? We just both signed that we're gonna fight and we think that we can take each other. So like all of these
it was no motivation to whoop his ass. It was
like, all of these thoughts, you know, were just like going in my head.
They
and I was
have
just
no
like
no weigh in where y'all face to face and do. Like,
he
we did
no
once, like we did a weigh in,
that.
but he didn't really like try to like flex on me like that, you know. It was just like,
right. It was whatever.
Yeah, but everybody gets nervous, you know what I'm saying? So all that stuff is what's going on. Through my mind, you know, before I go out, and I like knocked him out, and I was like, what? Really? Like after all the emotions like settled, I'm like, no way. So I signed up again, and then like the same thing happened, and I was like, no way. Like you know, like, and people were cheering, and like you know, like friends were happy, and they started to come out to support, and I was like, wow, cool. Like like I'm starting to be somebody now, you know, And then my third fight, I remember, like, that one I was a little bit more hyped up because, like, that was the first time I made T-shirts. Yeah. Now, like, everybody come support me. Like, I'm going to knock this dude out. You know, like, I'm just, like, so hyped up. And that one, like, it went 3 rounds, and I lost a split decision.
Damn.
But I just tried to go crazy. Like, that was the first time I, like, actually tried to knock the dude out.
Yeah.
And I was so tired. But it was, like, it was a good fight, like, all type of stuff. But after I lost is when I told myself like, okay, I'm gonna take it seriously. Yeah. And then I started to like really train seriously, became an amateur champion here in Vegas, and like all this stuff. And then
how did UFC happen?
Because this was all
before UFC.
This was like
enough.
amateur. This is like in Vegas, like you know what I mean, after high school type of thing. And then UFC came about when the Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I tried out for the Ultimate Fighter, and I ended up making the callback. They called me back. They're like, hey, we like you. the tryout fights are gonna be, next, like, they gave me the date and said, show up here on weight, and then this will be your chance to fight to see if you're gonna make it into the house for the season. Yeah. So I showed up. Actually, my friend and I at the same gym. We trained to get in there together because we're in the same weight class. So we're like, hey, if you make it and I don't, I'm gonna help you. So we helped each other get there, but we both made it in.
Nice.
Wow.
And so after making it into the Ultimate Fighter, the first fight, they chose him and I to fight each other.
Damn.
Of course, right?
So we both make it in. Hit, like, me and we helped each other every single day because we're like, this is our shot at the UFC.
And it's against each other.
Yeah, we hope we don't have to fight each other, but we care enough about each other at this moment that we're gonna help. Help each other out. So
dang, that's crazy.
They picked us to fight first.
They had to know that.
So as soon as we move into the house, everybody lives together in the same house. We all have to fight each other. We got to experience it. They make this big mansion, free food, everything. Yeah. They treat you well. But it was kind of hard because I knew that, dang, I got to fight my boy in next week. You know what I mean? So we got to soak it in, but that was definitely on my mind. So we end up fighting. He beat me by rear naked choke, and then I stayed in the house. He ended up getting injured during that fight from some elbows that I threw. So he was just kind of hanging out in the house hoping to recover fast. So he didn't. And then they called me in as a late replacement, as a
replacement.
Replace him.
Yeah.
But then I had to fight my other friend.
Oh, man.
Who, this guy that I made friends with, we slept in the same bunk every single night. He was showing me photos of his kids. It was because it's kind of like what I'd imagine jail, but amazing. Because there's no phones, no books, no nothing.
Yeah. Focus on the fight.
People
training,
in a house, in an empty house with cameras. That's it. You know what I mean? So he has photos of his kids. He's passing under the bunk. I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. He's telling me stories of his kids. Oh, Preston's a wrestler. You know what I mean? Da, 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 da. I can't wait to get back. I hope every night for 7 weeks.
Right.
And then they told me, hey, you're getting another shot. But you got to fight Josh. And I was like, right. Come on, But then what Josh and I had a conversation, and we were I was like, yo, I can't look at you as my friend because I just lost to somebody that I looked at as my friend, and that was the result of it. So we got to put everything aside and it's business.
Yeah, fight. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we didn't talk for a couple days after that because it was
it was intense. Yeah. It's
you know what I mean? It was so intense. We couldn't even look at each other, and this is my boy. You know what I'm saying? We instantly became brothers in the house. So it was we couldn't even look at each other, man.
That's tough.
So I remember that one. That was one of my favorite fights because we both really gave it our best, and I ended up winning that. And I just remember after I win, I just broke down, man, because my nose was broken, he was on the ground, we're both covered in blood, and then I got my hand raised, and when I got my hand raised, I was happy, but I was sad. It was such an
intense emotional moment.
You know what I mean? They were both just fighting each other, and I was just boom, went to the hospital to get my nose fixed, and then that night Dana White took us all out to go party. Nice. And that was where we kind of made up. You know what I mean?
That's so hard, man.
When y'all was doing that film in the house, was that in Las Vegas?
Yeah, it was right off of Pecos and Russell.
Oh, word.
Yeah. They just big old house, and then when we pulled up, you just see spotlights and everything. The house was always lit because they have to have lights
cameras
for filming.
On.
Yeah. But it was so weird to be in a house in my hometown, but not able to leave the house.
Right.
You know what I mean? Knowing that, my friends are probably passing right here. All my friends live on the east side, you know? I wish they knew where I was at so they could swing by and throw me some in and out.
Right. Something.
Something, you know what I mean? Or just, let's just talk over the wall or something,
right.
Because you definitely feel isolated just being around a bunch of strangers for 7 weeks. And no way to disconnect.
The ones you connect with, you gotta fight them.
Exactly.
Hey, you gotta fight him.
Yeah,
man, that's dope that your career kind of stemmed from that into this.
It's definitely wild. I think about it. You know what I mean? Sometimes I have to force myself to think about it because I can get so caught up in the now that I forget about where I come from and just the how certain decisions that I've made, had that been something else, it could have been completely different. I could have never left Las Vegas. You know what I mean? So
could have stayed on tour.
So right. So sometimes when I get like down or like I can't see a way out of a situation, I just look back and be like, well, at least you got this far. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if nothing else, like moving forward, which is completely like false because we're always going to be moving forward. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. But if nothing else, like, damn, like, cool.
Yeah, that's part of like your growth. Is that something that you look at? You know, when we talk about where you grown from being a kid from LA to like, you know, the Ultimate Fighter to now. Like,
yo, I'm gonna throw in a spinner. So, like on top of all of this, being raised by my mom and just being with my brothers, my dad was the manager of Boyz II Men, New Edition, all this stuff. Yeah,
that's crazy.
His dad, so like, I was gonna ask you about.
So like that was like so. But he got murdered on tour. Boyz II Men, MC Hammer tour in 1992 in Chicago.
Damn.
Like some dudes like tried to rob him because my dad, like, he was a big dude built like a bodyguard, but he just made a lot for himself. He's the bodyguard for Muhammad Ali, like all of these things that were just like big. You know what I'm saying? Like I never knew him, but the stories that I heard, like, damn, that was my dad.
Right.
Like my dad was with Muhammad Ali, bodyguard.
Right. That's
and
nuts.
He's like Boyz II Men, New
biggest
Edition,
bands in
like,
the world.
Another guy create like
I
all
remember
of
you
these
told me that
things.
at
You
the
know,
studio,
and like
bro,
so
and I
like
was like, whoa.
Growing up and seeing golden plaques with my name on it. Yeah. Because my dad named me after himself.
Junior, yeah.
So it's like I got New Edition plaques, I got Boyz II Men plaques, all of these things. That's like, but my name's right there.
Yep.
And it's like 80 million records sold. So imagine waking up every day as a kid, like seeing my mom struggle, but seeing my brothers, you know, they have different last names and all of these things. And when I'm just alone at home and I'm walking down the hallway and I'm like, Gold Records, what is this all about? You know, like I'm processing this. Yeah,
it's opening your mind.
You get what I'm saying? Like when you're a kid, you process your environment. You're not really thinking about what's going on. You're just like, oh, I'm going through life. Oh, what's this? Oh, cool. You know what I mean? So subconsciously, like, I'm getting these, you know what I mean? These messages, like, be great, be something, be, you know, make a name for yourself, be on a plaque, like all of these like subconscious messages. So
your dad was working for you even when you realized he wasn't.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
You know, like,
exactly.
You didn't think.
He left me a lot, although he wasn't there. He left me a lot to. Believe in, or you know what I mean?
Follow the clues. Is like, look, you know, you can be great, you know, and it's on the spiritual level. That's why I was like, it's amazing to hear your story because you say, I come from, you know, being on tour, 300 pounds, smoking cigarettes, eating fast food, just really just not even spiritually, you know, in tune with who you are as a person. There's subtle hints from those gold plaques on the wall, you know, but then looking at your brothers who was a huge support system for you, giving you the subtle hints too, you know, leading you into fighting. And like when I'm listening to the story, it's like, damn, this is crazy. It's like creatively you always had it, you know, and then you saw opportunity to change yourself. So you took that opportunity. So not only now you're starting to fight physically, you're fighting spiritually to be a better person.
Most definitely.
You know, and you are Super Champ when I listen to it because it's like, dog,
that's
like,
it's no better name.
Hey, and I knew, and you know, like I said, I can't say that I'm an extreme fan of UFC. I am a fan, you know, and I say that only because an extreme fan could tell you the next fight. Well, I could tell you my man from the African cat. That's from New Zealand. He's claiming New Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
Izzy.
He's nasty. That's probably like my favorite guy, right? Yeah. To watch this new, you know. So I guess I am somewhat of a fan, you know, but I knew about you, you know, but I didn't know the history, you know. And it's funny because when we talk about your father being a part of that experience with Boyz II Men and all these bands, I was listening to that shit at home. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing, you never know as a kid, you go run into, you know what I'm saying, somebody whose father was a part of that.
And being in that world, you said he was built like a bodyguard. But bro, exactly. He probably influenced a lot of that music.
Yeah, man. Well, like
all the ones that he has plaques to. Yeah, they didn't just give him plaques.
No, they were. My mom was telling me, they were sleeping on the couch. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like your dad was like their dad. You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
like,
that's what I'm saying. It's like, because if you in a creative space, if I'm designing and we in here, like I'm getting inspiration from Khalil, I'm getting from Nick, from Daryl, from Jay. Like we all just working.
Yeah, that's even like outfits and like my dad was a part of that, like, Boyz II Men, like, creating them. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Yep. Like, nah, you guys got to dress better. Yep. You know what I mean? You guys got to get your shit together. Like, You know what I mean?
A lot of people don't even know
he was the
it
man in
was
their
a
life,
link.
like in their career on the road. You know what I
That
mean?
link between them and New
Yeah.
Edition, like people don't even know that. Bro. They
Yeah.
just think, oh, they from Boston, they was from here.
Yeah.
Like no, bro,
Philly,
they
Boston,
it's
whatever.
A link
Nah,
there.
it's a family.
Yeah, it's a
you know what I mean?
family,
The Motown was a family.
Man, that's
You know what I'm
crazy,
saying?
bro.
Like,
So you was the creative juice was just flowing all around you, and
Yeah.
you took it upon yourself. And that's another thing. Like I like to kind of bring it full circle when we bring the guests on. Is this is Friends and Brands podcast, man. Like we all got experiences. We all got these opportunities where he from the South Side of Chicago. I'm from East Cleveland, and we come from areas that are challenging areas.
yeah.
I can recall being, using my imagination just to escape the atmosphere, where some of my counterparts is on the block, and I was just like in the, comics and video games and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Even with sneakers, my mom was a crazy sneaker collector.
Really?
She was the leading scorer for her high school. She broke like mad scoring records in basketball, skateboarder, tennis, heavy in the snapbacks. She broke me into the quartet, Nike Cortezes.
That's so sick.
Bro,
Yeah,
tracksuits. I remember, I used to have all the Jordan shit, bro. That's why, like, being 30 plus, I'm like, love nothing but love for LeBron and everything he doing. I love that guy.
Yeah.
But Jordan always have a sentimental value to me because my mom was introducing me to that. But this is happening in the inner city. So many creative people out of the inner cities, Las Vegas, LA. That go on to influence the world. So, bro, you coming from LA and Vegas, and now you in Thailand, and you influencing the world not only from music, fighting, and now you got a brand, bro. People don't understand how important these brands are, bro.
Well, let me expand on that really quick because the brand is just what's happening right now.
Okay.
But behind the scenes, I have an entire storyline, and like whether it's going to be a comic or a cartoon.
Right.
But I'm writing the story right now.
That's dope.
Of Super Champ, but Super Champ is me, but not me. It's my version of a black superhero.
Yeah.
And I'm saying black superhero because you guys know what that's
Yeah.
like. You know what that is.
absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But for
It's
the
important.
world, everybody listening, for a superhero. But I will make it known he is going to be black. You
Of
know
course,
what I'm saying?
as he should.
And that's because for me, I never could go to the store and buy a superhero that was black that I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna be this for Halloween.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And really feel like that's who I am.
That's
you know what I'm
facts.
saying? Or read some type of inspiration of a superpower that I could have or possess in my mind when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
bro.
when I just want to zone out, like I don't have that visual, so I have to create it for myself.
Right.
And I never had the space or the inspiration to do it until now. So that's
Right.
what I've been doing.
Right.
But it's so visual to me that it has to be a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like I'm telling myself and like I'm setting my intention that like by next year I'm gonna talk to somebody who knows how to make cartoons, and we're gonna sit down and make this idea come to fruition.
Most
But
definitely should, bro.
Super Champ is his life is kind of like mine, like it's very similar, but he there's gonna be moments where like he ends up going on this journey and he learns how to meditate. During this meditation, he comes into contact with this kind of like being in a sense, in the shape of like water. So a quick visual into one of the scenes
Please
is
take us
that
there.
in this meditation, he's like meditating and this like liquidy blue figure comes into the front of his face, right?
Right.
And then it's like Super Champ, and he kind of jumps, and it's like, I've been calling you, I'm the one that led you here, like I'm your intuition, like trust me, let me take over, let me be your left hand, and like let's be great type of thing.
And that's what did
And
it,
so
bro.
he's like, okay. So in the meditation, he like reaches out to touch this thing, this like water, right? And it enters his hand. And this moment, this visual is crazy because like as it's entering the water, the intuition is taking form in his body, like, and going through all types of changes. So it's like hot, cold, wave, smooth, and it's just like, and you just see like all of this shit, like it's like in like boom,
Taking
like you just
over,
see this crazy thing, and then finally it's like you like his muscles start to
Yeah,
grow
he
and blah blah
ramped
blah,
up,
and he's just like it snaps in, boom, opens his eyes, blue eyes, like shiny blue eyes, and you just see this like crazy like beautiful black
bro.
superhero.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I like it.
This like beautiful black superhero. That's
melanated figure. Yeah. Hey, I like it.
I mean?
I like it. I like it.
And then upon that, it's like his battles and everything are gonna be my battles.
Mm-hmm.
And
dope,
whatever, like whether it's world, whether it's like global issues or whatever it is that's going on, that's on my heart, then Super Champ is going to be having this like dialogue with his superpower, so he can't access it whenever he wants.
Right.
It's a mind of its own.
Gotcha.
So you're really reading the story of this guy, or like watching the show of this guy and whatever's happening in his like day-to-day life. But then situations might occur.
Yeah.
He gets like, and then he's like remembers the moment where he trusted.
It's like a
that
Spidey
moment,
sense.
and he just knows that he has it. He doesn't know when it's gonna come. He doesn't know blah 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 blah. But if he has to fight someone or whatever issue, it's gonna show up.
Right.
And it's
that's
gonna,
dope.
and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what the story's gonna be.
But man,
But there's room
the
for as
idea.
long as I'm alive. There's room for
Yeah,
there's
the
room for a story.
dynamics have changed. Yeah.
And so like, yeah, man. So like, there's more behind just a brand. There's like,
Love it.
you know what I'm saying?
Most definitely, bro.
Like-
when you going through your creative process, I notice, and all of us do it. What is your choice of music, bro? Because you got like you said, you listen to, you
NSYNC,
come from your
Backstreet
father in
Boys.
music, the NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, and I see you posting music all the time.
day.
Yeah.
I lost like 500 followers because all I post is music.
But
you know
I
what
mean, hey, bro, yeah. But
No,
like, what's some of your favorite? Just let's keep it simple. What is like your top 3 favorite artists?
Hey,
or 5?
look, and that doesn't matter what the genre is.
Really?
Yeah.
Top 3.
Dang, that is crazy. I'm just gonna start listing a bunch because it really depends on my mood, the day, and the environment.
Yeah.
Let's start with like lately. So like this year, hey, shout out Spotify for helping me out. See what I was listening to.
Yeah.
This year I've been big on Brockhampton.
Okay.
Okay.
If you follow me, you know that I love
yeah.
Brockhampton.
Yep.
And they're an amazing mix of my boy band, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my fandom, like of boy
Right.
bands like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, because they consider themselves a boy band, but they're like amazing dudes, and
Yeah.
each of them is completely different. You got one guy that sings, one guy that raps. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they all do
Brockhampton,
everything.
They dope.
And so like whenever I'm searching for music, I feel like I can find it all by listening to Brockhampton.
Yeah.
Whatever album I want, I'm gonna
Something.
gonna get fed
Right.
jazz with some screaming, with some rap, with some, you know what I mean,
Right.
R&B. Like I'm gonna get that.
Right.
So that's why I like them so much, because I can get everything in one. Man, what else? I listen to a lot of Radiohead.
Yeah.
Radiohead,
Smooth,
yeah.
And Spacey. I can't do. I just.
It's all you.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Give me
It's
3.
so-
bro. We
it's
ain't got.
so
I know
crazy.
you got a lot. Like the other day, you just post somebody.
Man,
I don't know who.
I
was that?
listen to
Literally just
Bear.
posting. I'm like, this song dope.
Oh man, why am I drawing a blank right now? It's so weird because I
That's
post so much music.
Yeah, bro. That's how it is, man.
But like, I don't know. Literally, like off top, the last couple weeks I've been bumping like Roddy Rich.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everybody
Roddy Rich.
Roddy got a track with Meek that's
He got,
fire.
he got some dope stuff.
He got a heater with
Roddy Rich.
he got a heater
It's
with
camp.
Meek that's fire. though.
Chef G.
Yeah.
What else? A lot of lo-fi. Like I just like started making lo-fi playlists and just like putting that on because it's just beats. I mean, Jay Dilla, Madlib.
Oh, come on,
like
yeah,
Stone
Jay
Throw,
Dilla,
like,
yeah.
Really, like my playlist is so vast that just like with everything, if I like it, I just add it
That's
in.
what I
add it
said.
in,
That's
add
what
it
I
in.
told you, bro. I'm
And
like,
then when I wake up in the morning, I boom play, and then like everything's
I
coming
gotta
on. So then as
action.
a song comes on, I'm like, yep. And then I like, you know what I mean? I'll
Yeah.
post it so that you know what I mean? So that I
Yeah.
get it out. So it's crazy. I don't know if there's a music that I don't like
Yeah.
or that I can't feel. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Right.
everybody likes music, but like I feel like I can feel it all.
Yeah.
I can see the beauty in it all. Like I can literally
sure.
sit down and if you're just playing the banjo, I'm like, let me see. Like, I kind of imagine if that's me and like how I would feel. I'm like, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's dope. That's
Yeah,
dope.
so, bro, before we get out of here, you know I got to talk about what I always get. People always ask me about this day.
Let's do it.
When we was wearing those robes, right? When we had the robes out. This picture right here.
Oh, yeah.
So that day was so fun.
No, it was crazy,
That
bro.
was
Because,
such a
like,
cool
we
day.
went, it was like we started in the back. So, the backstory, we was at Mandalay Bay, Daylight, right?
Yep.
And we chilling in the cabana in the back. And next thing you know, we with all the guys from New. So, like, Crooked, Never, the Sandal
All
Boys.
the Sandal
All the
Boys.
Sandal Boys.
Every
was there.
Sandal Boy.
So we back there chilling, and they pull out these robes, and they like, guys, we want y'all to put these robes on. We just about to go on stage and just like it was crazy,
Flex.
bro. It was crazy packed.
it.
So it was like a Sunday, hot at like 90 degrees out,
Yeah.
and I guess me and Khalil, we like shit, we'll do it, and everybody else like, all right, bet we'll wear them too. Let's do it. We get up, we walk all through the crowd, so people just like looking at us, all they cheering, like the girls screaming. I'm like, see, I shouldn't even be here. First of all, I'm married. I'm like, yo, what the fuck y'all got me into?
I don't want no parts
I'm
of
like,
that.
yo, I can't be in this energy. So whatever. We get up on stage and it's even worse. They got the water guns out.
Oh, man. So
Back
you
there,
know,
like,
you
yo,
know
here,
what come with
here,
that.
Here's this. Try this.
Yeah, man.
We like, yo, all the girls and everything.
was
And they like,
crazy.
we get up there and we like, yeah, with the rolls on. Like, everybody like, clapping for us. I'm like, bro, we like a
there
real
was nobody
band.
on stage. Like, there was nobody performing. But they gave us like special introduction, and we're
bro,
all
we on
rubbed
the
up.
robes. I'm like, yo, this
Water
is,
guns, that was cool.
It was a
that
crazy day,
that was
bro.
really
It was
cool.
a crazy
When was that?
day.
It
You
was
said
like,
when?
Yeah, when was it? I remember seeing that picture.
This was
When
like
that?
2 years ago.
What's it say on the date?
August 2017.
Might have been a
2017.
TBT. You
So
know,
look,
like a
bro.
TBT.
Right back,
Yeah.
right after. Yeah, it was like right after my birthday, bro. So
Yeah,
I'm
man.
like, yo,
It was cool.
it was wild. Shout out to Ray and Andrew, all the Sandal
Doing
Boys,
their
man.
thing,
yeah,
yo.
y'all gotta come on the show too.
Yeah, man,
for
Never
sure.
Crooked. Shout out
We
all
got
the
a link
homies, bro.
for sure. Next time I'm back in Vegas, I'm gonna come back for the summer.
And
And we got a link.
John at Mandalay Bay, they held us down, man. They took
Crooked.
care of us, yeah, bro.
Crooked never knew.
It was wild, bro. Yeah, man. So before we go, bro,
Yeah.
what advice would you give a kid that's trying to break through, whether it's him creating a brand or him wanting to get into MMA? What advice would you give that kid?
I would say, like, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. It doesn't matter what your environment looks like around you. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Nothing. Whatever it is that you want to do and you dream of doing, trust it.
Yeah.
Trust yourself. Go inside. Close your eyes. Meditate. Pray. Whatever it is that you want to do, and find the answers inside.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's what I would say. Like, literally, get rid of the outward distractions, ask everything inside, and then make it happen outside. And it's all possible. Resources will come. You'll meet people. Continue to trust yourself. Continue to at least look forward and do good. As long as it's good and it's all, you know what I mean? Like, and it's a bigger vision and you see multiple people and you see people smiling within this vision and whatever it is, trust it. Go inside. Find the answers. Make it happen.
That's
My
real.
My brother, thank you for coming on
Appreciate
the show,
you,
bro.
man.
I
Bless.
appreciate you.
Yes,
It's
yes,
love
yes,
always, man.
This was
Thank
one
you.
of my favorites.
It's another episode of Friends and Brands. We out.
We
Yes, sir.
out. Yeah, man.